Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 11th, and well, this is what we were talking about within that softness. It just would take a little bit of a pivot. We weren't seeing the white NBI rise enough to be of any concern, and we got the exact spider reversal, which is very bullish. And I was talking about this. That expectation was that they had to break out above the previous peak to really begin a new round of buying the breakout kind of setup. However, you can see under positive extremes, which means, well, we've got the lows from right here at 39.94, and then of course this new creation of it all the way back to 41.13 when we get our sell signal, which we don't have at this particular point because again, magenta is still over 33, above yellow, rising. All of those are continuation bullish. Doesn't mean that we're going to get a huge move, but when you have these kind of large spike up moves, we can get as much as a third retrace to a half within it and still be maintaining a bullish configuration. So all within there. Of course, positive news for the euro as some of that pipeline activity is starting to resume, and this is like we were talking about before, that easing of some of the sanction quietly. That really wasn't talked about, but it will increase the supplies, which may stave off disaster for Europe. They had no choice. It was foolish that they waited as long as they did. So that should stabilize at least the euro from that standpoint and allow it to start making a move. From a gold standpoint, I would expect that even with that bullishness, we're still going to continue to have strength in gold going forward because things are improving from an economic standpoint, then you would expect that the Fed isn't. Of course, the market sees it as the improved economy. The Fed is going to not need to do anything because inflation was 0 for July, which doesn't mean a whole lot. Everything is still accelerated, and the Fed is nowhere near close to catching up with where rates need to be relative to the annual inflation rate. The 1 month, just because of this drop in oil, is enough to modify it, but you're going to still see food prices rising astronomically, and that's going to continue to have broader impact, even if they're not going to calculate it in their numbers. Is still going to be a real effect for regular people. And again, we would expect Treasury to start rising, and that's the bond market here is clearly saying that, yeah, we still expect at least to stay the same, or if not, have rising rates as we see TLT starting to drop, which means rates are going to edge up. From a BTC, Bitcoin, obviously it captured the exact same move as the market and went lockstep with it, breaking back up well above. We had the positive extremes here, filled that in, actually went below it, came right back to it, but then blew right past it at the market exuberance. And from a 50K standpoint, it liked it as well. No surprise with any of that. And this is what it looked like. It was intraday as soon as it happened. And we've been playing around within these algo areas on the low side down at the 41, and then these other previous ones right in between. So it's not a surprise that it started right at them. Boom, went right to the previous upper one band right there, and literally we just traded back and forth until later in the day it kind of got above there and was able to hold up above that range, and it became new support coming forward. And so, people will look at these and say kind of an arbitrary move, but it's like, no, they literally moved it right to the algo level that we had already had marked. So none of that is surprising. In the range again, still beautiful. So there was still plenty of reasonable short range within that, as well as the buy. And now we're up at that previous 42.16 algo level, and doing the same thing with positive extremes on that start. So we've already filled those back in the pre-market. I just think it's going beautifully along with that. And, for those who are anticipating lower volatility for the summer, no. There's a lot happening right now in the world, and so we're getting some really good moves. Before we had nice range days with the flatlining, and then the breakout here was pretty clean, and even intraday gave us lots of range to do things. So all good, as always. See you on the Skype chat. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.